Hello, this is Pastor Matthew Woods from Grace Lutheran Church in New Albany, Indiana, and this is the weekly devotion for December 18th, 2023. Today's title may be a little controversial for some of you, but it's why I no longer believe in Santa. Now, as a boy, I have many fond memories of Christmas. For many years, my great-grandparents would always stay with us for Christmas, and everyone eventually made their way to our house. It was a lot of fun. Christmas Day was always full of presents and a great sense of anticipation, and it was fun. On the tags of many of our presents was written to Matt from Santa. It was always on the nice list, of course. Today we write Santa's name on our gifts as a joke, of course, because we know the truth about Santa. Spoiler alert, by the way, he's not real. Sorry. As a child, Santa was always someone of whom I was supposed to believe would stop by once a year, raid our cookie jar, drink some milk, and then leave a bounty of things for us good kids. He was jolly and loved kids, which, who doesn't like jolly and who doesn't like someone who loves kids and is fun to be around and wears a beautiful suit and flies a sleigh with a reindeer, right? But then I never picked up on the clues about Santa. Seeing you when you're sleeping, knowing when you're awake. Creepy. Really kind of creepy. So be good for goodness sake. Better not pout. Better not cry. Santa Claus is coming to town. Yikes. Well, Santa's not only fake news, but Santa is also an antithesis, in my opinion, to the gospel message, at least in today's framework. Now you may ask, what's the harm, right? Well, I hope that I can make a little bit of a case today as to why I no longer believe in Santa, and that he's really not the image that we want to be so prominent anymore, at least that I don't, at least in the sense that it has become today, which is it's so far from the center of what Christmas really is. Now, the Gospel of Santa, as I will call it, says that I have to be good, for goodness sake, to get gifts from Santa. All right, I might as well buy an indulgence for Christmas then, because the scriptures tell us that we are all naughty because of our sin, and we could easily stay on that list if there wasn't grace. Today, Jesus says in Mark 10:18, no one is good but God alone, right? Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Isaiah 64:6, all of us have become like one who is unclean, all of our righteous acts like filthy rags. Goodness is not something inherent in sinful human beings. Goodness is impossible because of our sin. That's the scriptural teaching. Goodness is something that is given to us in Jesus, who dies on the cross and rises again. It's because goodness and mercy follow us all the days of our life that we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever, says Psalm 23. Christ's righteousness is imputed into us through faith. Like Christmas lights in our home that must be plugged in order to give light, the goodness that we have depends on our connection with Jesus. Now, the Gospel of Santa does not define Christmas with Jesus as its center. And that's maybe my biggest beef that's harder and harder for me to get past. Psalm 121 says, where does my help come from? It comes from the Lord. The point of Santa is to connect us to a world of stuff. Stuff is not always what we need, not the help that we need. How many Christmas gifts, by the way, remain unbroken or forgotten on a shelf or ignored and replaced by the next year's gifts? How many of us have the toys that we got as kids? They're probably all long gone. Jesus came to repair what is broken for the poor and the forgotten people. He hung out with tax collectors and sinners and unclean in the rejected segment of our society. He did not come to give us stuff, but forgiveness and eternal life. Jesus was always about the people and still desires all of us to be with him in heaven. Isn't that a happy message? How many people have plenty of stuff but spend Christmas lonely or distant from relatives, for example? I can't remember most of the Christmas presents over the last years, but I can fondly remember my grandparents being with us each year and the family getting together, having fun together at Christmas dinner. The Gospel of Santa is not about Christmas at all. It's a commercial focus rather than a focus on people. It's really no help to the more important things of life. It cannot help with those who mourn or heal the broken things of this world, and certainly it does not pardon sin. Perhaps my concern with Santa is overblown in the minds of some, but I think Santa has drifted too far from who St. Nick actually was. The legend of Santa Claus can be traced back hundreds of years to a monk from 280 AD who was in Patera near Myra in modern-day Turkey, St. Nicholas. Much admired his piety and kindness. He was the subject of many legends, of course, but most reports say he inherited much wealth and gave it all away, traveling the countryside, helping the poor and the sick. Most famously, St. Nicholas is known to have saved 3 poor sisters from being sold into slavery or prostitution by their father because they had no dowry. Instead, he provided that dowry so they could be married properly. The legends came to America, by the way, by the Dutch, and they celebrated him on December 6th, and the thought was that was a good day to buy things and give things. In the 1890s, the Salvation Army sent out men in Santa Claus costumes in order to raise money to buy meals for families. These ultimately become the bell ringers that we're familiar with today. In 1822, Clement Clark Moore, an Episcopal minister, wrote the long-time Christmas poem for his 3 daughters, what we know to be "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." In 1881, a political cartoonist, Thomas Nast drew on Moore's poem and created a likeness that matches more what we understand about Santa Claus today. His cartoon, which appeared in Harper's Weekly, depicted Santa as a rotund, cheerful man with full white beard, holding a sack laden with toys for lucky children. Now, who doesn't like that? I get it. Okay, I get it. But it is Nast who gave us the Santa with the bright suit and the trim beard and the white fur and so on. And eventually, of course, Coca-Cola picked up on this in 1930 and really Americanized it from that point on. It ended up in the Saturday Evening Post. So it's not the jolliness, it's not the cookie appetite, it's not the friendly nature of Santa or the jolliness or his suit or, his apparel, not even his wonderful sleigh. None of that. These things bring joy to kids, and I can see why people would dress up and why kids would be attracted to that. But he's not real. What's real is that the greatest giver is Jesus, who gave himself into humanity, then gave his life on the cross so he could gift us, if you will, eternal life. The monk of the 3rd century loved Jesus so much that he'd sacrifice his own wealth and help the poor, including those 3 sisters. The heart of St. Nicholas rested on the gospel of Jesus. St. Nicholas wanted to honor Jesus, and we know giving makes us more like Jesus. Genuine giving of self is true giving. St. Nicholas was moved by compassion, not by a desire to get a beggar to go away, not bother him anymore, not by a desire to be seen as a saint and so awesome. His gifts were also not gifts for the sake of giving, but something that would fill a need. The modern Santa is a commercial image, and giving, it has no concept, by the way, of honoring Jesus, not in the same sense. Many retail places often promote Santa, they promote Santa, but then they're also hostile to even saying Merry Christmas or making mention of Jesus. Perhaps that's my problem. Honoring Jesus is long buried under the desire of Black Friday sales. Don't get me wrong. Giving gifts is not evil. Having fun is not evil. But let's be able to distinguish between the giving of the historical person of St. Nicholas and the fictional character of Santa Claus. Finally, my biggest thing is that I just can't in good conscience promote a lie to let kids believe it to be true. Just can't do it anymore. I grew up with a Santa tradition. Uh, I did the same with my boys. I'm not saying that Santa will warp people's minds. I am saying that Santa is a confused message in a time when we just don't need any more confusion, at least in the form that we know Santa today. I never really cared for the notion of Santa because of its lack of being true. It just felt like I was doing something not good by lying to them. But the boys grew up doing the Santa thing. We did it for them. But now as a grandpa, I guess I'm getting old and crusty. I just can't do it. Party pooper? Yeah, maybe. I just think it's a better idea to keep Santa idea that you keep Jesus, rather, the babe of Bethlehem, as the center of Christmas. Christmas is Christmas because of Christ. And since there is nothing of the saint truly left in the story of the modern Santa, I think it's better to be upfront about the pretend nature of Santa today. Perhaps be upfront with kids that Santa is just a story, perhaps. But let's make Jesus the bigger message, right? So now you know. Some of the reasons why I no longer believe Santa's a good idea. I'm just not comfortable with it anymore. I think Jesus is enough. Besides, Jesus is not only generous, but also loves little kids more than anyone, right? He welcomed them, and they cheerfully welcomed him and sought his blessings. Jesus wants our kids to have the best, and he wants them to have joy too. He wants the joy to the world, and he's given us a reason to hope in his resurrection, to know where the true gifts lie, to know what the true message of Christmas is. What's more, Jesus is real and can actually deliver both joy and hope and much more. Well, either way, may the Lord bless your Christmas this year and your family as we go into our last week before. And I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks for being with me today. And if you want to leave a comment or let me know what you think, that's fine. But in the meantime, the peace of the Lord be with you. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time on Christmas Day. God be with you. Bye-bye.